museum that is under construction. We are not yet set up with everything that we actually need to know. But we have different sites that we are going to visit. We are going to use 1 hour, and the main objects we are going to be visiting are the chairman of High Command. We call him the chairman of High Command. He's the current His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Rwanda. We are going to be visiting his house, and we are going to be visiting his bunker. Then we are going to be visiting his protocol, the zone of his security. Then from there we see the women's wing. From women's wing we shall go to Arusha, not in Tanzania. Yes, Arusha here. Then from there we shall go to 600. Have you watched the 600 movie? Yes. Yes. We shall go to 600. There's a branch called 600. Then from there we shall be seeing the fundraising halls, the meeting rooms, Radio Muhabura. Do you know Radio Muhabura? Yeah, you heard of it. So Paul Kagame decided to have a headquarters by 1992 after defeating different wars in Ruhengeri, in Eastern, even here in Byumba. By 1992 they had defeated some forces here, so they had to see a very good place for like this one to settle, because this place is actually in the middle. Some forces were in the Ruhengeri, others were in the eastern part of the country, in Mutara. So settling here was a matter of coordinating the forces. And another thing, this place is near the border. So there is a supply line from Uganda and blocking government line. You know, blocking the government, because the government used to get a lot of supply from Uganda, via Uganda actually, not from Uganda, via Uganda, because they used to get supplies from Kenya. Kenya was so good friend to Rwanda by that time. Moi was a good friend to Habyarimana. So this supply line was blocked, and the RPF had to get a lot of weapons, had to get a lot of food. All logistics, I can say logistics, were brought via this area. So, and commanding, the politicians and the military were now together because they were living in this area, and they could all have common understanding on the way of fighting and the way of making the country a peaceful country, because they actually, by that time, they entered into negotiations, the Arusha negotiations. So now, after this short, I don't know if it is short anyway. I don't know. So after this short introduction, we are going to be visiting the site. We are going to be visiting his house, and then we visit the bunker, and then we go in other place like Arusha, Protocol, 600. I said that before. So this was Chairman of High Command. We called him Chairman of High Command because this is the title he had by the time. So it is not different from the title he has actually now. He's the CIC. He's the Command-in-Chief. It is equal to the Chairman of High Command. When it comes to the Chairman of High Command, it means you are commanding on the field. CIC, you are overlord on the military procedures.
Vijema came in. Kagame was not with him.
No, Kagame was not with him. Actually, I didn't say that. Do you want me to go in? Do you have time?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
By 1977, Rwigema was a student in a secondary school called Mbarara High School in Uganda. And he was recruited by Museveni to enter into FRONASA. FRONASA was a movement for Africans fighting for independence for the remaining countries that were not independent. like Mozambique, South Africa, Zimbabwe, those countries were not independent. And Zambia, thank you very much. So those countries needed support of very many African countries. So among them was different youth from different African countries. So there came in Rwanda, there came in Musitu. Have you heard of Musitu?
Yeah.
There came in Musitu, I'm talking about Rwandese. There came in Salim Saleh, there came in Museveni, there came in Ali Moses, those Ugandan people. So they joined via Tanzania and they fought in Mozambique, they fought in South Africa, and they even fought alongside Mugabe, this Robert Mugabe. So after the independence of Zimbabwe, South Africa was actually not independent because the apartheid was still taking on, and the whites in South Africa were totally brutal against the blacks. So the government by that time never thought of releasing Nelson Mandela. They never thought of making the country a peaceful country. They divided the people. The whites would not meet the blacks because they said the blacks are caste people. So that fighting involved many Afrikanese who participated alongside the South Africans in order to make a change. So Rwigema was a monk. Rwigema was a monk, and he was recruited by Julius Nyerere Julius Nyerere was among the good presidents who wanted a change in Africa. So he recruited them because Idi Amin Dada was very a dictator, a dictator in Uganda, and he could kill anywhere he wants. He was someone who has life of people in his hands, because whenever he wanted to kill, he could kill. And there was that policy which was not good, and he was not a friend to Tanzania. So what Julius Nyerere did, he welcomed Museveni and the other boys, they were called the Combozers, and the Combozers organized to defeat Idi Amin Dada. And that's how Rwigema came in. By 1979, Rwigema was on the front line fighting against Uganda, and after defeating Idi Amin Dada, they had to go into elections, and Museveni was defeated. After being defeated, Museveni requested to be a Minister of Defense, and he was not given that chance. And they requested him to go to be a member of parliament in Nyabusozi area. That's part of Uganda, in western Uganda. And he never wanted to be a member of parliament. He wanted actually to be a minister or a president. So he said, after refusing that, Obote said, you know what, this person is not even a Ugandan, he's a Rwandan. So they said he's a Rwandan, and they had to mobilize people to go against him. So what he did, he had to lay out the policies of fighting the government. So among the good friends of him that he went with into the struggle was Rwigema. And Rwigema had to recruit Paul Kagame, because Paul Kagame came in 1980. 1980, that's when he joined the NRI. NRI is a National Resistance Army and a National Resistance Movement. So they had to begin by Kayibamba, the 27 soldiers with guns. They were actually 41, but those ones with guns were just 27. So fighting and defeating Kayibamba and getting weapons, that attack, 2 Rwandese were among the NRI. But Kayibamba is a barracks. Kayibamba is a barracks in Uganda, in a place called Mubende. And it is a training zone, but actually by that time of 1980, Kayibamba was very strong among the barracks. So the fighting Kayibamba was a sign telling the government, you know what, after taking a very big barracks like this, we are coming to you. So they fought really Rwanda for the purpose of liberating our people, because our people have lived in refugee for so long. And Salim was like, no, this is not you didn't tell the president. He said, no, there's no need of telling the president, because the president walked around me. So I have to do it because my people need this to happen. So he had to invade by reaching Kajitumba. He made actually 4 battalions. There was the 1st Battalion, 6th Battalion, there was the 9th Battalion and 1st Battalion. So among the battalions are the ones who made that strength. There was Akagera Gabiro strength, Nyabwishongwe's attack. Nyabwishongwe's is a big mountain in Nyagatare. It's big like this. So they came via it, and then another was the Kajitumba Chigari Road attack, whereby Ujema was among that force, and another one was the reserve that remained behind. So unfortunately, after formulating, he was killed on the 2nd day. I think I told that because he was killed at the front line. But the soldiers continued fighting because they didn't know that he was killed. Because there was that conflict, they had to hide his death, because his death would impact negatively to the soldiers. So they had to hide his death not until they announced it on the 24th of October, after the death of Bayingana, Bunyenyezi, after the Bitamaziles and the other commanders. Even after this sack of disorganization, the Congolese were in, the Belgians were in, the French were in. So they were fighting alongside the government of Rwanda, fighting against the RPF. So RPF was totally destroyed until God gave us His Excellency to come and change these strategies of fighting from the conventional war to guerrilla war. So the guerrilla war brought the mountainous way of fighting. Someone have a question? You? Okay. Can we now switch to the side? Thank you. And this room was so strategic, totally different from other rooms. The other room is so open to the public and some sharing would happen to him. This room is so sealed, the windows are sealed. This was the only room he could exit just in case of any attack. So it was open, far from the sitting room, and nothing with the exit part. So if something would happen, you could exit. Most welcome. Several movements in Africa, not even in Africa, even in Asia, even in South America, the rebels that set up fighting against the governments, they met different different problems, because when you're beginning fighting, the government is on the safe side because they say this is a terrorist group. These people have no aim of fighting. They are just thieves, and you know what? Not until you have this political line of telling why you are fighting. So RPF, this is what they did. At the beginning, several forces from different countries came in. But after settling the political side, after telling people why they are fighting, this is why the war became understandable to different countries and NGOs. So these movements, in order to protect and fight well, they use different principles or canons. The canon we are seeing here is the bunkers or the trenches. The trench is a way of fighting. You put a very big trench with sacks on top and then fight the enemy. But then there are also trenches for logistics, trenches for protection, trenches for offices. So with here is we have a trench for protection, at the same time office. So the chairman of High Command used to come here purposely to settle and think of what he's going to be ordering or giving command next for the next time. And at the same time it was a protective way, because the soldiers, the side of the government, we are not even very far. We are just near a place called Chivari Nivyumba. It's just over the other hill. So it can be easily for sharing here. So if they share and they find him inside here, he's well protected. But it never happened, of course, because the RPF forces were all over. So they feared, because they had even had this fire before.
This area they were controlling, the population moved to other parts or something like that?
Okay, thank you. By 1992, the RPF radio called Muhabura announced for the population around if they actually want to go to the government side or they want to stay on the RPF side. So those who stayed in the ONU RPF side and they lived with RPF, they actually lived in a peaceful way. Always with morale, dancing. Do you know a song called Dimbahasi? No. Dimbahasi was introduced by people from here, and it became a morale song for soldiers. And these people from here are the ones who introduced that song. So they would do several activities with RPF. They were good. Actually, they did manpowering, like helping RPF to carry different materials, including food. Actually, they lived with RPF very well. They were living in a place called Jishambashayo. Jishambashayo is after Rubaya. Have you ever heard of Rubaya? Rubaya is just near Gatuna, and after Rubaya there is Jishambashayo. So over 4,000 people were living around, and they were so friendly to RPF. Yes. So the chairman of High Command had protection, at the same time had other responsibilities that needed protocol. So we are in a protocol zone. So members of protocol were so many, but their residence was this one, and the house you are seeing there. This is where the protocol zone we are staying. Others we are staying outside. There was tents here. And this was a communication bunker. At the same time, a reserved bunker for the chairman of High Command. Whenever he was not there, he could be here, or in the house, or in the patrol, because he used it to visit soldiers on the front line. So in most cases, even the enemy wouldn't know actually where he is, because he was severally moving from one place to another. So we are not entering this one, it's not yet renovated like the other one. So for your security, we shall not allow you to enter. Iriya ni batayi irimo abasirikari 800 cyangwa 1000 ariko mubahungabana urumva bagakora positioning bose bakabamishamo ibironje piu noneho abasirikare bajya kwitegura mwebwe muga mukiruka niyo ntambara y'imyaka. This place here, this place we are standing, I was trying to answer her. We are talking about, we are differentiating conventional warfare and the guerrilla warfare. We said the conventional warfare is an open war to the enemy with strength together, having the same weapons. But the guerrilla is that shoot and run. That shoot and run. So during 1992 and 1993, RPF and the government were in the period of ceasefire. So there was no fighting because it was time for peace talks. So what RPF did, organized themselves in 2 different activities. They did cultivation, they did they had cultural troops like the dancing, they did the mobilizing of finance like fundraisers, but they also did the gamings, like games. They introduced like soccer, basketball, volleyball, tennis. So the chairman of High Command used it to play tennis from here. This is a tennis court. Yes. This is a tennis court, and we are going to be renovating this tennis court in order to remember his strengths and how he started the games, the sports into Arabic. So we can, if there is no question here, we can go to Arabic. Excuse me. Remember the reparation when the mass killings were stopped, forcibly.
Okay, so then it's when Kimobora comes in.
Okay, guys, let's switch to our tour again. Okay, murabona ko hano hantu uyu musozi murawubona. Iyo uhagazeho ureba indi misozi. Ariko suko ari we muremure. Suko ari we muremure kuyirusha, ahubwo nuko uri hagati utuma ushobora kureba indi misozi iwucikiza. Mwayibonye? So aha hose hari ingabo za RPF, aha hose iriya ni Mukarange, ibi ni ibice bya Rusambye bwa Narushaki, iriya ni Manyagiro, iyi ni Cyumba, hirya hari Rubaya, hanyuma hano ni umusozi wa Murindi, inyuma hano hari umusozi wa Kaniga. Iyo yari zone ya RPF, tudashizemo zone yo mu za Butaro, za Kivuye, za Cyanika, noneho tudashize muri zone za Cyondo, Karama, Nimuri, Tabago n'ibice bya Nyagatare. Ahangaha rero hari hagati no hagati. Ikindi aho hantu mvuze hose hari forces za RPF. Umwango na enemy kugira ngo agerageze yego kugira ngo agerageze. I was trying to say that this is a small hill that is actually between other high hills. There are hills, I was saying of Chumba, I was saying of Manyagiro, I was saying of Mukaranje, saying of Rushachi. Those are surrounding hills and the other hills of Kaniga. So this one is actually in the middle, and it helps to vision all these hills. And it is just in the middle. There are there are a lot of forces on these hills. Some forces were in the eastern part, others were in the northern part. So the enemy wouldn't manage to attack here because it was not easy. Let's switch to women's wing. The women, all the girls of the time, the moms of us, did a very strong participation in this struggle. They were the mobilizers, they were the dancers to bring, to mobilize for money, because they were singers like Cecile Kayirebwa, Kamariza, Susanna, Maria Johanna, and the troops that were good at mobilizing. And Nyumba Rozia, Reti Nyumba Rozia, was in charge of finance in the commission, as I told you. So she did a lot of work to see that RPF mobilizes for money to support the struggle. And these women politicians were also residing here in this house. So this house is going to be renovated, and we put the history of these women in order of respecting what they did to liberate this country. Sometimes I don't explain much because this happened without any person is role. So it just came that the tree had to fall like this, and it had to live with the branches coming on. So meaning that this hill is a hill of heroes. So even the signs that come up shows the heroes. So this is an arrow under the bow. Umwambi numwe turabona kuntu byagizeho. It just happened. It just happened, so abashakashatsi muzabyandike. Okay, thank you once again. And I would like to welcome you into residences and the role of some people into the revelation. We are going to talk about actually we talked about the women and the Nyumba Rozia who was leading the finance team. But we are going to talk about the political zone and the military on the side of protection of high command. So the residence we are seeing here is for General James Kabarebe, former Minister of Defense. He was staying here. At the same time, he was the ADK or ADC or personal assistance to the chairman of High Command. So some other visitors would accompany him, but this was his main residence. And the house we are seeing here, it was a residence for the chairman of RPF. There was chairman High Command RPF, chairman High Command RPF. This is the political wing and the military wing. So for the political wing, this was his residence. Colonel Kanyarengo Alexi. He was staying here. At the same time, his office also were here. So he used it to get several visitors here, and those visitors would come purposely talking about the RPF issues. And whenever they wanted to meet the chairman of High Command, they would be escorted to the chairman of High Command. Okay. Thank you very much. We are almost coming to the end of this tour. This ground you're seeing was here some years back during the setup of the factory, and it was part of the factory infrastructures. And this ground helped the RPF for several activities. I told you about sports. They used to come here for games, especially soccer. They played with different companies. Among them, they played with units, High Command playing with different battalions. But later there came in even a Kigali team would come here under PSD. PSD is a political party in Rwanda. So it was born during the time of multipartyism in 1991. So they were trying to be allies of RPF because they needed unit among Rwandese. So they used to come here, and the game that was played here, RPF had to win 2-1. But when it came to basketball, PSD and our combos, the combos under PSD won the matches of volleyball and basketball. But with soccer, RPF won. But when it came to this game, back, the return match. When it came to the return match, RPF won basketball and volleyball in Kigali. The soccer here, there's this lady Jamarin Hagwavira, is the one who scored here. This is the coach of APR and the national team, I think. So he was the one who won here. He's the late captain Jamarin Hagwavira. This place also happened to have this is where the 3rd Battalion was given a command. 3rd Battalion, the one have you ever visited the Parliament? Yeah. The Parliament Museum? Yes. The campaign against genocide?
Yes.
So do you know about the 3rd Battalion? Yes. So the 3rd Battalion was briefed from here, given a command from here by the chairman of High Command, given all it takes to protect the politicians, at the same time to protect the civilians who would come to get safety to RPF zone. So the commander was given here. The official rankings, Amapeti. Commanders were given official ranks here. Even His Excellency Paul Kagame was also given the rank of Major General officially from here. Someone asked me about the ship in Hama. It went with 3rd Battalion from here. It used to live with soldiers here. They would feed it, they would cater for it. So it loved the people. So it had to escort the 3rd Battalion to Kigali. It was killed by the government forces during the attack. It was just shot. So It used to be here. And there's nothing behind that shape. It was just because it loved the people. Some people call it a myth for RPF. It is not. It is just... ntabwo mujya mworora nk'ibintu ugasanga hari nk'ihene ishaka guhora iri hafi y'urugo n'abantu, cyangwa ugasanga hari imbwa idashaka kwegera abantu ariko hakaba n'indi ishaka kujya mu maguru yabo. Ntabwo mujya mubibona. So it is like that.
Where's the sheep now?
Yeah, it is dead. It is dead. It was killed by
Oh,
the guy.
sheep. I thought it was sheep like.
Ah, no.
Okay.
The animals.
Okay, yeah.
On the struggle, because there were several wounds and they injured people, very many in the struggle. So in the high command, they were stationed on this wing. They were living here. And if you can manage to see over the hill, can you see a tower? You can see a tower? Yes. That's where the radio was working from. RPF had a radio called Radio Mahabura. So that's where the radio was working from. And it helped in sensitizing, mobilizing people to know much about RPF. At the same time, to avoid participation of several people in the killings.
Start by introduction and tell me what have you got from this visit today. Yeah, we can go.
Okay, my name is Constance Mukararuga, and what I learned from this trip is that I learned about the history of the country. I learned about His Excellency by the time, how he fought for the country, how he fought for the peace of the citizen, and for the citizen to have to get liberated. He fought for the liberation. What we're celebrating what happened 25 years ago. This is what I learned from here. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Natasha Mtangana, and I'm part of the 250 Explorers. We came here to visit the Liberation Museum, and we've learned a lot. We learned how people started a war in 1990. They came to liberate our country, and it was such a great sacrifice. We cannot understand it from just stories, but we've come to see, we've walked around this place, and we've learned how they sacrificed their time, how they spent time, collaborating with other people. And we thank them. What I've learned from this place, I've learned that it takes a decision to go for it, go protect your country, go stand, let the people know what you have, fight for it, and these people have done it.
This is where the High Command was. President Paul Kagame was living here in the struggle. We have seen the Indache where he was living. We have seen all other member staff where the politicians have lived. It was so amazing.
Yeah. What is your decision after visiting?
Okay, after visiting this museum, my decision is to love my country.
Okay.
All the people who will watch this, please love your country like the RPA did. They loved their country, they fought for it. Most of them, they died for it, but...
Thank you. I'm by names of Nchesa Georges. I'm the leader, the co-founder of the 250 Explorers. The reason why we've created this is that we are the youth of the upcoming Rwanda, and all we need is just to know the real history of our people, the history of our country. As we see the progression of the country, there should be a why, there should be where it started, because it didn't fall from the sky. So we started from the Campaign Against Genocide Museum, where we learned the struggle of liberating and stopping the genocide against Tutsi in Kigali. Then next we moved to the Museum Art, the former Habyarimana's home. And then this was our third move after we visited the Harama Genocide Memorial. So the group is composed mainly by youth and who are eager to learn their history, who are eager to know what's happened to their country, and most of them use Twitter. So Twitter was the first part that joined us. Yeah, our purpose is to visit all museums in Rwanda and then to know what happened with facts, and then we would move with the rest of Visit Rwanda, like places that are tourist attractions. Yeah, that's it. By now we are almost like 80%, 80 people, and most of them are students. Yeah, especially youth, and still receiving other people. We need everyone who is eager to learn their history, who is willing just to move with us, to visit places. Yeah, they are most welcome.
What could be your message?
Thank you very much. I'm called Philemon Mugabo. I'm a guide here, and the message I would like to give to most of the youth, Rwandan youth, even neighboring countries and international youth who would wish to know much about Rwanda. I would wish to give them a message that they should visit the museums. Museums have got a lot of message. Different museums with different specialists who can give them a message about this country. People should not actually think that this country has no background. The country has got a background, has got its history. So people should visit museums. There is full of message, full of what they are doubting about. Particularly here, they will know how RPF and RPF forces liberated the country. They will know much about the liberation of this country and the stopping of the genocide.